What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. Welcome back to another edition of trying to distract myself from what the Red Sox are doing on the field right now. All right, time out. This was before the Red Sox had their best win of the season last night, with Alex Verdugo single-handedly taking down two of the Yankees' best closing pitchers and best pitchers in general in baseball. So a little bit doomy and gloomy to start this video off, but I promise you the content is all hope related. So still enjoy this video, but my bad on the intro there. I did not realize the Red Sox were going to walk off the Yankees last night. Obviously, we will go over everything that happened in this Yankees series tomorrow and all my thoughts on it then. But for now, let's give you guys some hope and talk about some of the guys that we could be getting back in the near couple of days. Because right now, it seems like half of the Red Sox roster is on the IL. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about everyone that's on the IL, give you guys updates on everything, because it feels like to me, with so many people on the IL, it's so difficult to keep track of where everyone is in their rehab. So I made it into one giant video. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about every single person. We're going to talk about what their injuries are, how it's affecting them, and we're going to talk about when we can expect them back and what the latest update on their status is. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on these videos, and make sure if you enjoy this video to share with a friend or family member who loves the Red Sox as much as you do. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Let's start with the big one, the guy that we have been waiting for all year, Chris Sale. Chris Sale is actually back. He will be getting his first major league start of 2022 on Tuesday against the Tampa Bay Rays. And that leads me to something I did want to say and I forgot to say in the intro. We are going to be streaming twice this week, 2 times. Once when Chris Sale comes back and twice on Friday against the Yankees. So keep a heads up for that. But I just want to throw that in there. But Chris Sale's fully back. He's ready to go. But we do desperately need Chris Sale. This will be a very welcome addition to this rotation right now, who just threw out 4 rookies in a row against the Yankees. Now, I'm recording this on Saturday, so I have no idea how Cutter Crawford or Austin Davis or whoever starts tonight's game went, but I can tell you it's probably not going to go very good. But either way, Chris Sale being welcomed back into this rotation is a good thing. And before you guys go into the comment section and tell me all about how Chris Sale's not going to be the same pitcher and that Chris Sale's washed or injury prone or whatever you want to say, I do want to say this again. Hopefully this is the last time I have to do this, because Chris Sale will come back and shove, but this is an extremely different injury than we saw last year. Last year, when Chris Sale was coming back from his Tommy John surgery, he wasn't overly confident coming back into this rotation. Him and Alex Cora talked about it a lot when they were rehabbing last year, and they talked about how he wasn't fully ready mentally to come back because of all the stress and strain that he had put on himself trying to get back from Tommy John. This year, he is ready to go. You already saw the video. It's been on my channel. It's been all over Twitter. You've seen the video of Chris Sale getting angry and upset after a start. That is full 100% Chris Sale, and I'm ready for him back in this rotation. Again, if you want to point to last year and say, hey, he's going to be meh, this is what we got last year. Last year, Chris Sale had a 3.16 ERA with essentially only having control over one singular pitch, and that was his fastball that really wasn't very controlled anyways. His changeup was absolute dog water, and his slider was all over the place. This year, again, much different story, so get ready for a full-fledged Chris Sale. But that's your update on Chris Sale. He will be back Tuesday against the Rays. Again, we will be live for that. I'll get into that more tomorrow. The second guy I want to talk about is Rafael Devers. And when I didn't even watch the game yesterday. I went to go see the new Thor: Love and Thunder. Great movie, by the way. But when I got out, the first thing I did was turn on the Red Sox game. And the first thing I heard was that Rafael Devers was getting taken out of the game because he had back pain. I was terrified. If Rafael Devers went down chalk the whole season, I would have just disintegrated into thin air, I think. Luckily, this is not a huge issue. It was mostly just soreness. It doesn't seem like he pulled or strained anything. So he's mostly day to day. We probably won't see him in the rest of this Yankees series, but he should be back for the Tampa Bay Rays series. Thank God. The next guy we're talking about on the IL is Nate Eovaldi, another guy who we desperately need in this rotation right now. Nate Eovaldi's scheduled to have his first rehab start on Sunday. He had a game simulated bullpen type thing the other day that went really well, where he was hitting 96 on the radar gun and all his movement on his pitches looked about the same as it was before the injury. So he's looking good to go, and he should probably, best case scenario, be back in the Bronx series, but more realistically, he'll be back right after the All-Star break. And Chris Sale coming back is great, right? Chris Sale alone in this rotation with Pivetta will finally give them some veteran leadership, ace caliber material. But Eovaldi and Sale back in this rotation is going to be dangerous for this AL East. I'm extremely excited for both these guys to be back with the Red Sox, and relatively soon too, so there's something to look forward to with this Red Sox rotation. The next guy we're talking about is Garrett Whitlock, who went down right around the same time as Eovaldi. He made his first rehab appearance on Friday, going 2 innings, allowing 6 hits and 2 runs, which doesn't sound great on paper, but you got to think about these rehab starts kind of like the first outing of spring training, right? You've been off for 15 days trying to rehab yourself and get back into shape and get your body where it needs to be to pitch. So these first outings are never super great, and the runs and the hits really aren't something you need to really look at. What you need to really look at in these starts are hard hit rate and strike percentage. Garrett Whitlock struck out 3 in that appearance of 2 innings and had 36 pitches where he threw 26 strikes. That's a 76% strike rate. That's a pretty good percentage for not having pitched 15 days. I think a little bit more at this point. And he had a lot of weak contact too on the singles and the hits that did come. So pretty decently exciting stuff from Whitlock. He'll probably get 1-2 more starts with Worcester before coming back. This is another guy who best case scenario could be back at the end of the New York series, but most likely will be back right after the All-Star break. Now, about Garrett Whitlock, I don't know if we talked about this yet on this channel, but Garrett Whitlock will be coming back not as a starter, but as a bullpen arm, which is fantastic. It's something we've been begging for all year. It's finally happening. It will be a much needed relief to this bullpen to have such a weapon like Garrett Whitlock in it. Is it going to fix the entire bullpen? Not even close, but after the most likely beatdown this bullpen's going to get between the rest of this Yankee series and the Yankee series in the Bronx, maybe not the Rays so much, this is a much needed break. So it's going to be great to have Garrett Whitlock back, especially in that bullpen role. Kike Hernandez also had his first appearance in his rehab stint with the Woo Sox on Friday. He will go again Saturday. I am recording this on Saturday and putting it out Sunday, so I don't entirely know how Kike Hernandez's second rehab start went, but I can tell you about his first one, and he went 0 for 4. Now again, I need you guys to remember that these players are treating this more like the first day of spring training. All they're trying to do when they're up at the plate is regain that pitch zone recognition, make sure they're seeing the ball well, make sure their mechanics are right, and make sure that they're making contact with the pitches they need to make contact with. Kike Hernandez pretty much did that. In his first at bat, he hit a really hard line drive right back at the pitcher. Unfortunately, he was knocked down and he was thrown out, and he ended up working a count to 3-2 after going down 0-2 and another count to 3-0 and eventually striking out. But at the same time, that pitch zone recognition seems to be there. From everything I've seen, those mechanics are there too. I'm not entirely sure where Kike is going to fit in with this team when he does come back. We've got the emergence of Jarren Duran, who Alex Cora has basically come out and said he wants as his leadoff hitter going forward. The place that I see Kike going is right field to replace Jackie Bradley Jr. To me, that makes the most sense. I love Jackie. I love when he does really well, but I don't think he'll be sorely missed in this lineup or on the field with replacing him with Kike. Now, Kike should be back within the next week or so. He will definitely be back before the All-Star break. I could even see him joining the team for the Tampa Bay series at some point, but he'll definitely be back for the series in the Bronx. The next guy we need to talk about is Michael Waka, who, if you don't know, this was kind of a recent one, went onto the IL yesterday with a heavy arm, which prevented him from his last 2 starts. This was more of a precautionary measure than anything. I don't even know if he'll need a rehab stint to get back into this rotation. Alex Cora came out and said that he and Waka talked about it, and if anything, they wanted to put him on the IL to further increase their chances of him getting better and avoid the possibility of another major injury for Waka. So Waka will definitely be back right after the All-Star break. Again, I don't know if he'll need rehab starts. It doesn't seem like he will, but keep an eye out on that. Most likely, again, right after the All-Star break, probably for that Toronto Blue Jays series, which is great news. If you're looking for hope, think about it this way. We're going to struggle in the Tampa Bay and Yankee series. That's going to happen, right? But then you come back from the All-Star break and your rotation looks something like Chris Sale, Eovaldi, Pivetta, Waka, and Winkowski. To me, that seems like a fantastic rotation, and it's definitely something to look forward to. And speaking of the rotation, we need to talk about Rich Hill, who went down in the Cubs series with a pretty busted knee. It looks like he's going to be out for 2 weeks. Most likely will come back towards the end of this month, maybe even early August. And this is a guy who, I'm going to be totally honest with you, I'm not super pumped to get him back early. I think if you're looking at it with him versus Winkowski in that final spot of the rotation, I'm taking Winkowski. I know he had a really tough game against the Yankees with a couple of really dumb placed pitches, but at the same time, he's been pretty good besides that, and I really like Winkowski's stuff, his fire on the mound, and his pace of play. So in my opinion, I'm taking Winkowski, but either way, Rich Hill adds depth to this Red Sox rotation and bullpen, so I'm excited to get him back regardless. I just don't know if it's in a starting role. The last guy we need to talk about, because I'm sure there are some of you who really want to know out there is Matt Barnes, who had his first rehab assignment appearance in the FGL League, and it went about as expected because of course. In one inning, Matt Barnes led up 2 doubles, a home run, he threw a wild pitch, struck out 1, and got 2 groundouts. Sounds like a pretty standard Matt Barnes appearance if you ask me. This is a guy who I'm definitely not excited to have him back quickly for. I think this bullpen in general, especially if the Red Sox are able to make moves at the deadline, is much better off without Matt Barnes, so it doesn't seem like he'll be back on the team anytime soon. I really didn't look too in depth as to what date they're expecting Matt Barnes to make a full recovery at, but it doesn't seem like it's anytime soon, especially because he's starting in such low ball. My guess is probably 3 to 4 weeks before you even hear about him possibly making a return to this bullpen. But if I'm going to be totally honest with you, I could see the Red Sox putting him either on the 60-day IL or making a drastic move in DFAing him and putting him in Worcester for a little bit. We'll kind of see what shapes up there, but that is your wrap up of the most prominent injuries for the Red Sox right now. And good Lord, that's a lot of people. The good news is a majority of these guys are going to be back right before or right after the All-Star break. Again, it's going to suck a little bit these next couple of weeks. We're putting out basically our AAA rotation, especially in front of 2 pretty dominant offenses, so yeah, it's gonna suck for a little bit, but I'm gonna go more into depth on that in my recap video. But I do just want to say this before we go saying to blow up the Red Sox, and before we go saying that this team needs to be sellers at the deadline, they simply just don't have it. Remember this update. This is what our rotation's going to look like after the All-Star break. You're getting some really key pieces back into your bullpen, back into your lineup, back into your starting rotation, and this team's gonna look so much different after the All-Star break. It's gonna be a much more dangerous team. But my question here at the end of the video is, who are you guys most excited to see back? Is it Chris Sale? Is it Eovaldi? Is it Kike? Who do you guys want on this team desperately right now? Let me know all your thoughts on every one of these injuries down below. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, again, we talk Red Sox almost every single day. You made it to the end of the video, so you clearly enjoy it. You might as well subscribe, you might as well like, and you might as well share with a friend or family member who loves the Red Sox as much as you do, so they can be just as informed on injuries too. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.